There it is again, that familiar sting. You promised yourself this wouldn't happen. You had all the right intentions, yet somehow you're back in the exact same mess, staring at consequences you've seen before. The voice in your head is relentless. Why am I this predictable? Why can't I seem to learn? Here's what I want you to know. That voice is lying to you. This isn't about your character or intelligence. It's about understanding a fundamental truth about how humans operate. And when you grasp this, everything changes. Think about what happens right after you mess up. Shame floods in, followed by that internal lecture. You become your own worst critic, replaying every poor choice, dissecting every moment where you could have done better. But then something interesting happens. Days pass, weeks go by, the emotional sting dulls. You tell yourself you've processed it, you've learned your lesson. But what really happened is you got comfortable with the discomfort, not smarter about avoiding it. Here's the kicker. Your brain is designed to protect you from pain, not necessarily to prevent future problems. So it does what it does best. It helps you forget the sharp edges of your mistakes until they feel manageable again. But comfortable isn't the same as conscious, and that's where people get trapped.
Let's say you keep overspending. Money hits your account, you feel terrible, you promise to budget better, but you never actually examine the moment of weakness. Was it stress? Boredom, peer pressure, an emotional trigger? You skip the investigation and jump straight to hoping you'll magically have more willpower next time. Spoiler alert, you won't. The difference between people who break these loops and people who don't isn't willpower, it's methodology. When that familiar pang of "I did it again" hits, you've got about 60 seconds before your brain starts its damage control routine. That's your window. That's when you strike back. First thing, resist the urge to spiral into self-attack. That's your brain trying to make the pain go away quickly. Instead, lean into curiosity. Become a scientist, studying your own behavior. What was happening right before you made the choice? What were you feeling, thinking, or avoiding? What external factors were at play? Document everything like you're building a case file, not against yourself, but for your future self. Write down the sequence of events, the emotions, the thoughts, the environment. Make it concrete, because abstract lessons fade, but specific data sticks.
Now here's where it gets powerful. Once you have your data, start looking for the real trigger. It's almost never what you think it is. That late night scroll through social media isn't about lack of discipline, it might be anxiety about tomorrow. That impulsive purchase isn't about loving stuff, it could be trying to fill an emotional gap. The magic happens when you start catching these triggers earlier in the chain. Instead of trying to have superhuman willpower at the moment of temptation, you start recognizing the setup 20 minutes before it happens. That's when you have real power. That's when change becomes possible. Patterns exist because they work on some level. They're solving a problem, even if badly. Your job isn't to fight them, it's to understand what problem they're solving and find a better solution. If you stay up too late because you're avoiding tomorrow's stress, deal with the stress, not the bedtime. If you overspend because you feel deprived, address the deprivation, not just the spending.
Every single time you catch yourself in the old pattern and pause to investigate, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that favor awareness over automation, consciousness over habit. This isn't feel-good psychology. This is how change actually works. Look, I'm not promising you'll never mess up again. You will, because you're human. But there's a massive difference between randomly repeating mistakes and consciously learning from them. One keeps you stuck, the other set you free. So, right now, think of your most recent screw-up, the one that's probably why you're here. Run it through this process. What really happened? What was the trigger? What's the pattern? What's the better solution? Don't just think about it, write it down. Make it real. Because the moment you truly see how your mistakes work, they stop having power over you. The cycle ends when you decide it does, and that decision starts with the very next mistake you make.